Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the Education Firm podcast. I am your host, Kendall Peacock, and we discuss everything educational that hits the news. Today, we are going to be talking about these new cell phone bans that Georgia and Los Angeles are going to be implementing in their schools. So, right now, take a moment to hit like and share to get this conversation out to as many people as possible, and then we will begin. I'm going to do my logistical things and get this ball going. You guys do the same. Hey, Charlotte, how are you? Happy Thursday to you. Good to see you. I hope everyone had a great day. Hey, Charlene, how are you? Good to see you as well. You guys hit like and share for me. Hit like and share. Get this conversation out to as many people as possible. And now we will begin. So there's some schools, some counties here in the state of Georgia that will be implementing a cell phone ban for their students this upcoming school year. Marietta City Schools, um, the officials there made an important decision regarding cell phones. So the board unanimously voted, that's a tongue twister, 7-0 about this cell phone ban for middle school students. Now, before I go further into it, I do know how this generation is about their phones. I do know that, as long as this generation has their phone in their hand, they are pretty much antisocial. They are detached from reality. They are out of touch with, what's going on around them. They become less than human. This generation does when they have their cell phones. They don't know how to exist without it. When it comes to cell phones being in the classroom, I agree that there should be no cell phones in the classroom. I absolutely agree with that because it takes away from instruction and learning time. I agree with that. It should not be in the classroom. But when there is things like dangers, school shootings, bomb threats, fires, things like that, you have to kind of take into consideration, okay, is my child okay? How is my child going to get to their phone? In case of an emergency, how can I, as the parent, reach my child at the school? These are my concerns as relates to this cell phone ban. Although I do agree that it should not be in the classroom. Cell phones should not be in the classroom during instruction time. I get that. I agree with that. Now, to get into this article, so in Marietta, Georgia, the superintendent, Grant Rivera, says that they really want kids to be focused on learning, as they should, because you're at school for most of the day, and that is where you should be learning. You should be on your cell phone at home, right? Not during learning instruction time. Now, cell phones, smartwatches, and social media have significant impacts on our students' learning and mental health. School should be a place to learn and grow. That can happen if students are, excuse me, that can't happen if students are distracted by their phones. Absolutely. That can't happen if your child is constantly looking through their phone during instruction time. Can't happen. You can't learn that way. You can't learn that way. So, school should be a place to learn and grow. That can't happen if students are distracted by their phones. Marietta School, Marietta City School Superintendent Grant Rivera also says that cell phones have a significant impact on students' ability to learn. It does. As well as their overall health. There is some scientific studies and things that are out there that say too much of your cell phone puts a lot of radiation in your body and can cause cancer, things like that. It just affects your health. It does. It affects your brain, kills your brain cells, all of this, the whole nine, right? He says cell phones and smartwatches should be off limits for students at Marietta Sixth Grade Academy and Marietta Middle School. Now, Marietta schools, they feel very strong about this because evidently they've had some problems in the past with their students and their phones. And I've even covered some stories where students got in fights with teachers or other school officials for getting their cell phone taken away, which is absolutely ridiculous because you're at school to learn. You're not at school to have free time and surf your phone and be on TikTok and Snapchat and all of these kinds of things. And I do understand why these schools are doing this because they're wanting to increase instruction time, learning time, and they want to cut down on things such as like um, social media bullying, fights, those kinds of behaviors. So I understand that. I get it. It makes perfect sense to me. But my only concern is the emergency aspect of it. That's my concern. Now, they voted on this cell phone ban 2 days ago on June 18th, and it was a unanimous vote of 7-0. So the majority won. So this ban goes into place August 1st of 2024 in Marietta City schools. Now, it goes on to say this. We want to eliminate the cell phones. Therefore, kids can focus on learning, but it's also social media. I don't want kids defining their value based on Snapchat or an Instagram filter. Jesus, I can't read today. Now, this was the superintendent's views on this. And I must say, I kind of do share similar views as relates to students at school. You should not be on your phone. Your phone should not define who you are. Who are you without your phone in your hand? Can you have a conversation without looking at your phone, without picking up your phone, without looking at your watch? Can you look at me eyeball to eyeball and communicate with me? Can you comprehend what I'm saying to you? These kinds of things are what these kids nowadays need to learn. They need to learn a life outside of their phone. Because most of us, when we were in school, we grew up, we didn't have a phone, right? I didn't start seeing cell phones in school until my senior year in high school. I didn't get a cell phone until after I graduated. So this generation does not know how to function without a phone. So Marietta Schools is implementing this ban in hopes to increase instruction time, to increase, you know, mental health, get a hold of those things as relates to mental health, and really care for the well-being of the student, because this is really what it's all about, because cell phones run this generation's life pretty much. Now, there is some parents that support this ban, as well as there is some parents that oppose this ban. You know, I'm not a parent, but I am an educator and I support this ban, but I also have some opposition as relates to it, as I expressed earlier, that I feel that this emergency plan really has to be stamped in stone in order for this to really work, right? Now, we are totally for the idea of removing phones from the classroom. Who Someone that is a parent said this. Um, she has a child that is about to enter the 6th grade and another child that's going into the 8th grade. Now, she was saying that teachers need a distraction-free environment and kids need a bullying-free environment. Absolutely. I love that she said that. Teachers need a distraction free environment in order to really impact the student. And students need a bullying free environment in order for them to be impacted by the teacher and the learning experience. Totally agree. I couldn't have said that any better. Too much exposure to cell phones, social media is distracting. There's a time and a place for all of that. It doesn't have to be during school hours. From 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. You don't have to have your cell phone and you don't have to be engaged in social media during those school hours or whatever time frame your school is. There is some schools that are saying your phone is banned, from the time school starts until the end of the day. So that means no phone during the break, no phone during lunchtime. This, I feel, will increase social time between the students. Maybe now the students will actually get to know each other outside of looking at their phone and their phone not being so attached to them. Maybe they can learn some interpersonal skills. Maybe they can learn how to communicate, how to exist in a world that is around them, and they won't be isolated to their one little zone, you know? Y'all got any questions for me before I continue? Y'all make sure y'all hit like and share for me, okay? We got some more stories to talk about today. Now, okay. So now with the passing of this ban, there is a lot of what do you call it? These pouches, these yonder pouches that you put your cell phone in. You know, you put your phone on vibrate. This pouch is supposed to block the cell phone signal. Thank you, Tony. This pouch blocks the cell phone signal. As long as it's in the pouch, that phone cannot be reached. And the teacher collects these pouches and keeps them in a designated spot within the classroom. Probably the front of the classroom, I don't know. Will each student be able to identify which pouch is theirs? Who knows? Maybe their name will be written on it, something of the sort. Again, I don't know how this is going to work because of the safety issues that we have nowadays in the world that we live in. Our schools are not safe anymore, you know? So I really don't know how this is going to work. I really although I do support it, I just don't know how it's going to work. I'm going to have to see how this goes. Right? Maybe they should have did a trial with this before they actually stamped it in stone so they can have some type of roadmap, some type of blueprint to follow, you know, and go from there. All right. So now at the end of the day, the teacher will unlock these pouches because once you put it in the pouch, the teacher will lock it up and the student cannot access it. The teacher only can unlock the pouch. God forbid something happens. God forbid there's a school shooting somewhere and everyone is scattered like ants and everyone's trying to get to their phone and they can't get to their phone, they can't reach help. But they are saying if a student needs to contact someone, they can use the student phone at school. Now, most schools are overloaded with children, overcrowded. And I want to believe there's more than one student phone. But in the case of emergency, what will be done with this? I really want to know. Like, what will be done with this? I get increasing instruction time, but yes, are we also thinking about reality? The real world of what we live in right now. We live in a time of school violence where people randomly come up in a school and they wreak havoc. There's got to be something in place for this, you know? Now, that was Marietta City Schools. Now, Liberty County Schools, Georgia, is also implementing this cell phone ban. Now, they're also saying that students will no longer be able to use their phones during school hours, and they will also be using the Yonder pouch that blocks the signal. And once it's closed, the teacher locks it, and it cannot be unlocked again until the teacher unlocks it. Now, this is what's being said at Liberty County Schools. in Georgia. We actually think that this is going to do, let me restart. We actually think what this is going to do is not only keep our students engaged, but it's also going to keep our students out of trouble. They will not have as many ways to be able to arrange meetings, get into fights, and stuff like that. We think discipline is going to go down. Now, I mean that could be true. That could be true. Discipline could go down, but then you have those kinds of kids that act out if they don't have their phone, you know, distractions will still be rampant. There's always going to be a student that's out of order and that's out of line. But if you have high hopes, I have high hopes too. But I just don't agree with all of the discipline being cut down or go away because kids are going to always find something to do. They're going to always find something that's going to, you know, distract the class and distract the teacher. And they either get sent home or sent to the office. That's just always going to happen. In a perfect world, what you said would probably be 100% true in a perfect world, but we don't live in that world. Now, Liberty County Schools invested over $140,000 in this process, you know, with the cell phone ban and getting, these pouches and all of that. And their parents have some concerns as it relates to lockdown and emergencies. Same thing with Marietta City Schools. This should have been something that, was practiced before they actually put it into place, in my opinion. They should have practiced it. But they're saying that the sole goal of this is to keep students on the track of success, to keep students focused, to keep them motivated to learn. These students are going to have to go through some detox, especially sitting in class. Some classes are 50 minutes to an hour. Can you imagine a student that is so used to their phone and they don't have it anymore, sitting in a classroom for 50 minutes to an hour straight, just listening to their teacher talk? Can you imagine the fidgetiness going on there? Can you imagine the focus of these kids until they detox themselves from having their phone with them all the time during school? So this could take a couple of weeks for the student to get used to it. And so they can start operating like normal. So this is why I think this should have been something that was practiced before it was actually implemented. But these things are going to be implemented the next school year. So hopefully they are practicing at home and weaning themselves off of their phone. So when it comes time for them to be at school, it won't be such a huge problem. Because it's a big distraction, these cell phones. Huge distraction. This is also something that a Los Angeles school district is doing as well in California. They haven't gotten as far as these Georgia schools, as they have not gotten the pouch or anything yet. But they are also, they just approved the ban, so that process for them is in the works. Um, this is just the thing. This is the thing. Cell phones in the classroom are terribly distracting. It's a wonder how how can I say this? Cell phones in the classroom with students nowadays is almost like a danger zone because you have students that use their phones to humiliate people, like bullying. Like a story I covered a few days ago. Six girls put, a young girl with learning disabilities, her address out on a sexual site and had men come to her house. You know, Bullying is rampant through social media by way of Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter, these kinds of things. So, if your child does not know how to use their phone wisely without getting themselves into trouble, there should be a cell phone ban. Absolutely. There should be a cell phone ban. If you're not disciplined enough to pick up your phone to just make a phone call when you need it, if you're not disciplined enough to put your phone down when a teacher asks you to without talking back to them, without throwing a temper tantrum, if you can do that, good. But if you can't, this is why the cell phone ban is in place. And I hate it for the students that have that discipline, because now they can't have their phone with them at all because of the students who can't control themselves. I just want to, I just hope this goes well. And it is my hope and it is my prayer when these things are implemented that there is no school violence to follow, because I'm really hoping for the day that there will be some changes as relates to these school shootings and bomb threats, that there'll be some metal detectors put in all the entrances of the school, things like that to really keep our students safe. Because if that's not done, and then you don't want kids to have their phones in school, I think that's just a recipe for disaster. But at the same time, I do agree. I do agree that it is a distraction in the learning process, in instruction time. And it's a hotbed, a cesspool for school violence, school fights, bullying, and things of that sort. But this is all I have for you guys today. I will be back tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, but Monday. I'll be back Monday with some more educational stories to share with you. Feel free to hit like and share for me. Get this out to as many people as possible so that they can join in on the conversation during the replay. You guys have any questions for me? Any questions for me? Thank you, Charlene. I appreciate it. You have a great day as well. Thank you, Charlotte. I appreciate you so much. Any questions? I hope you guys like my new setup. I did some things different today. I had to get a camera and a new monitor and all of those things to really get this the way I want it to look, and I feel like I've done it now. So you'll be seeing this visual more often. Um, so if there's no questions, I will see you all next time. Next time. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. And I want to say thank you for tuning in to the Education Firm podcast. I will see you later.